You can still buy a real house in Texas for around $65,000. Not the down payment, not the renovation budget, the entire house. In Austin, that amount may barely cover the down payment. In these towns, it can still get you the keys. And in one of America's fastest growing states, that should make absolutely no sense. Texas is building suburbs like somebody left the copy and paste button on. But drive beyond the booming edges of Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio, and home prices suddenly look like they belong to another decade. So what is the catch? There is always a catch, and that is what this channel is built to uncover. Not just where homes are cheap, but why they stayed cheap when everything around them got more expensive. One town watched new subdivisions spread across the county next door, while its own population continued shrinking. Another lost the employer that once supported hundreds of local families. And in one community, the mortgage may be affordable, but your commute could qualify as a part-time job. Texas did not stop growing. The growth simply passed these towns by. Today, we are counting down 10 Texas towns the housing boom left behind, and the real reasons homes can still cost around $65,000. The closer we get to number 1, the closer these towns get to the Texas boom. And the final town sits far too close to one of Central Texas's biggest new investments for homes this cheap to make sense. Number 10 begins in a town thousands of drivers pass on their way between Dallas and Houston, without ever considering what it might cost to live there. Number 10. Teague. In Teague, an entire house can cost less than a new pickup truck, and unlike the truck, the house comes with a yard large enough to park 3 of them. Teague, Texas. A small railroad town near Interstate 45, positioned between Dallas and Houston. On the surface, it looks like a bargain. Buyer's claim no longer exists. Quiet streets, open land, a historic downtown, and homes at the very bottom of the market that have appeared around $40,000 to $70,000. So why is everybody not moving here? Because between Dallas and Houston sounds much more convenient than it actually is. Teague grew around railroad repair shops and the cotton trade. Workers arrived, businesses opened, and the town became an important regional stop. Then, cotton weakened. Rail employment declined, and highways allowed people and money to move past towns that trains once depended on. Today, Interstate 45 carries thousands of drivers nearby. Most stop for fuel, food, or neither. Then they continue. Teague is too far from Dallas for a practical daily commute. It is too far from Houston for the same reason. So you may save dramatically on the house, while giving part of that savings back through fuel, maintenance, and several hundred hours behind the wheel. Picture it. You wake up to silence. Drink coffee on the porch. Wave at a neighbor driving a truck older than your mortgage lender. Then, open Google Maps and discover your morning commute still has 3 podcast episodes left. Teague is affordable, it is peaceful. But unless your job travels with you, the road may become the most expensive room in your house. If you are trying to understand where affordable homes still exist in America and what those low prices are really hiding, subscribe to Priced Out America. Every week, we uncover the towns, homes, and trade-offs the listings leave out, and the cheapest towns closest to the Texas boom are still ahead. And number 9 already experienced its own boom. It just ended more than a century ago. Number 9. Mexia. In Mexia, a 3-bedroom house can cost less than the down payment on an average home in Austin. Not the renovation budget, not the deposit, the whole house. Mexia, Texas. A small city east of Waco with older storefronts, courthouse streets, and prices that occasionally make Zillow look like it loaded a page from 1998. On the surface, Mexia is surprisingly practical. Schools, healthcare, stores, restaurants, a functioning community rather than 3 buildings and a water tower claiming to be downtown. But Mexia once looked very different. Oil was discovered nearby in 1920. Workers poured in. Businesses appeared almost overnight, and the population temporarily exploded from set few thousand people to tens of thousands. The boom became so chaotic that state troops were sent in and martial law was declared. For a brief moment, Mexia was not the town growth forgot. Mexia was the growth. Then production slowed. Temporary workers left. The depression followed, and the population returned to what the local economy could support. Today, local demand and wages do not resemble Austin or Dallas. That helps keep older homes affordable. But the cheapest properties usually carry their own history. Outdated electrical systems, a roof approaching retirement, plumbing installed before people expected every bathroom to feel like a private spa. Housing is cheap, yes, but the repair budget may be waiting quietly behind the listing photos. Picture a calm Friday night. You own a full house for less than some buyers bring to closing elsewhere. The streets are quiet, your mortgage is manageable, and the hardware store employees already know your weekend plans. Mexia shows what happens after an economic boom disappears. Number 8 built its economy around something even more unusual: hot mineral water. Number 8, Marlin. In Marlin, a large 4-bedroom house can cost less than some Austin homeowners spend remodeling one kitchen. More space, a backyard, a front porch, and enough deferred maintenance to make a contractor begin smiling professionally. Marlin, Texas, a former mineral water resort roughly 30 miles from Waco. On the surface, it has everything buyers say they want from an old Texas town. Historic buildings, mature trees, a courthouse square, quiet neighborhoods, and homes at the bottom of the market that can still fall below $100,000. Marlin was once a destination. Hot mineral water was discovered while workers were drilling for a public water supply. Bathhouses opened, hotels followed. Visitors came to soak in water believed to have healing properties. Marlin became a wellness town before wellness meant paying thousands of dollars to surrender your phone and drink celery juice in the desert. But medicine changed, travel changed, the mineral water industry faded, and the population gradually declined from its mid-century peak. Waco is still relatively close, but 30 miles feels different when you drive it twice every weekday. Then there are the houses. Many of Marlin's cheapest properties are old enough to have survived several versions of the American economy. That can mean character. It can also mean foundations, wiring, pipes, and roofs that all have opinions about your renovation budget. You may buy the house for $60,000 or $80,000, then meet its actual price one contractor at a time. Picture a Saturday morning. The street is quiet. The sun is already heating the pavement. Your mortgage costs less than rent in most major cities. Your repair list has begun requesting its own filing cabinet. Marlin offers space and history, but the bargain works best for someone who has time, money, or unusually strong feelings about home improvement. And number 7 sits between 3 growing regions, without becoming a suburb of any of them. Number 7, Cameron. In Cameron, a small house on more than an acre can cost less than many people spend on 2 years of rent. You get a home, land, privacy, and enough grass to transform Saturday mornings into unpaid agricultural labor. Cameron, Texas. The county seat of Milam County, positioned between Waco, Bryan College Station, and the northern edge of the Austin region. On a map, that location looks almost perfect. In real life, being between 3 growing cities can still mean being an hour from everything. Cameron has a historic courthouse, a recognizable downtown, and streets where traffic means waiting behind 4 cars instead of 4,000. So why has Austin's growth not swallowed it? Because metropolitan growth is selective. It follows specific highways, school districts, utilities, large employers, and land that developers can turn into hundreds of nearly identical houses before anybody asks what happened to the trees. Cameron sits outside the easiest Austin commute. Waco and College Station are closer, but neither has turned it into a conventional suburb. The result is an affordability gap. Remote workers can see space and low payments. Daily Austin commuters see fuel, road construction, and a steering wheel that will eventually know their hands better than their partner does. The house may be cheap. Distance begins charging immediately. Picture ending your workday at home. You close the laptop, step outside. The sky is wide, the street is silent, and your neighbor waves because people here have not learned the urban skill of pretending other humans are invisible. Cameron gives you room to live, but only when your income is not tied too tightly to somewhere else. Number 6 is much closer to one of Texas's strongest regional economies, yet its housing market still feels separate. Number 6. Hearne. In Hearne, an older 2-bedroom house can cost less than some luxury SUVs, and this is less than 30 miles from Bryan College Station. Home to Texas A&M, research facilities, hospitals, construction, and enough college-branded pickup trucks to form their own local government. Hearne, Texas, a historic railroad town that looks close enough to College Station for the housing boom to have arrived years ago. But proximity alone does not create demand. Hearne was built where railroad lines crossed. Cotton moved through town. Stores, hotels, and businesses followed. In 19th century Texas, that intersection was premium real estate. Basically a major freeway interchange, with more steam and fewer drive-through coffee shops. Today, College Station is the regional engine, but new buyers often choose communities that feel like extensions of that city. Newer subdivisions, closer schools, modern retail, neighborhoods designed around incoming families. Hearne offers something different: older housing, fewer new amenities, a smaller local employment base, and a market buyers must deliberately choose instead of automatically entering. That can still be a good deal. You remain within commuting distance of College Station. You may pay far less. You get a real yard instead of an outdoor rectangle legally described as one. But resale demand can be weaker, and the conveniences of the metro remain on the other side of the drive. Picture a warm evening. Someone is grilling. A freight train moves through the distance. Your mortgage may cost less than a car payment. Then the train horn explains why the listing did not use the phrase "complete silence." Hearne offers proximity without full participation in the boom. Number 5 has real industry and a strong local identity, but no major metro close enough to pull its prices upward. Number 5. Yoakum. In Yoakum, an older house can cost less than a fully loaded SUV. The difference is that the SUV is less likely to need foundation work unless you drive it through Houston. Yoakum, Texas. A small community positioned between Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and the Gulf Coast, which sounds centrally located until you attempt to commute to any of them before sunrise. On the surface, Yoakum feels more economically substantial than many towns its size. Schools, healthcare, manufacturing, community events, and enough local history that the town does not need a developer to invent an identity for it. The railroad helped Yoakum grow. Then, leather manufacturing became the town's specialty. Factories produced saddles, belts, gloves, footwear, and other products shipped far beyond South Texas. Agriculture and food processing added more jobs. Some of that industrial base remains. This is not a dead town waiting for somebody to add sad piano music. The problem is scale. Yoakum's economy may support the people already living there without generating a wave of new, high-income buyers. And unlike places closer to a major metro, it is not waiting for suburban rooftops to arrive next Thursday. Victoria is the nearest larger employment center. Austin, Houston, and San Antonio are destinations, not commutes, unless seeing 2 sunrises each week through a windshield is part of your 5-year plan. You get lower housing costs, a slower pace, a genuine community. You may also get fewer specialized jobs and a social scene where people recognize your truck before remembering your name. Picture an early evening. The temperature finally drops below 90. A train sounds in the distance. You have a backyard, a manageable mortgage, and no believable excuse for why the grass is still that high. Yoakum is not booming, but it is stable enough to keep being Yoakum. Number 4 has a different problem. Nenda's economy is connected to the most emotionally unpredictable industry in Texas: oil. Number 4, Cuero. In Cuero, deeply distressed properties can fall below the price of a new economy car. At that price, you are not asking whether the kitchen has granite countertops. You are asking whether the kitchen remains emotionally committed to being a kitchen. Cuero, Texas. A historic South Texas town with enormous trees, old homes, cattle country identity, and streets that make modern subdivisions look like they were assembled last Tuesday. On the surface, Cuero has genuine appeal: a recognizable downtown, regional services, historic architecture, a real economy, and enough shade to make you briefly optimistic about your August electricity bill. So why do some houses become unbelievably cheap? Sometimes the answer is not the town, it is the property. Foreclosure, long vacancy, foundation movement, interior damage, financing restrictions, or the phrase, "bring your vision," which is real estate language for "please also bring several contractors." Cuero also sits within the Eagle Ford region. Oil and gas activity can bring workers, spending, and housing demand quickly. But energy markets do not move gently. When drilling accelerates, demand rises. When projects slow, workers leave. The housing market experiences the economic equivalent of someone repeatedly adjusting the thermostat. That sits on top of Cuero's more stable base in agriculture, cattle, and regional services. So the town may function perfectly well, while individual properties fall through every normal buyer filter. And that creates a difficult affordability problem. The people most attracted to a $30,000 or $60,000 house may have the least room for an unexpected $20,000 repair. The people who can absorb that repair can often afford something easier. Picture moving day. Old trees shade the street. Your friends congratulate you on buying a house for less than their kitchen remodel. Then somebody places a marble on the living room floor, and it begins exploring the opposite wall. Cuero can offer a real opportunity, but its lowest prices often come with a second job: project manager. The next town has a different hidden cost. It may not be underneath the house. It may be moving toward it from the Gulf. Number 3, Bay City. In Bay City, distressed 4-bedroom homes have appeared for prices that would barely remodel one bathroom in Houston. More than 2,000 square feet, a yard, a functioning regional town, and enough extra space to store all the insurance paperwork. Bay City, Texas, southwest of Houston, with schools, healthcare, industry, and more than one place to buy groceries. On the surface, it looks like Houston affordability with the congestion removed. Wide roads, Gulf Coast access, a slower pace, and prices at the bottom of the market that make metro buyers wonder whether the listing forgot a digit. So why does the bargain survive? Because near the Gulf Coast, the purchase price is only the opening number. Flood exposure, drainage, windstorm coverage, roof condition, previous storm damage, insurance availability, and the experience of watching a tropical disturbance develop into a fully named family concern. Not every Bay City property carries the same risk, but every buyer needs to investigate the specific house instead of assuming a low price tells the whole story. Bay City's economy is also different from Houston's. Agriculture, energy, processing, and regional services create jobs, but they do not generate the endless stream of office workers and high-income buyers found closer to the metro. Demand stays more selective, so buyers calculate more than the mortgage. Can the house be insured? What does it cost to maintain? How difficult will it be to resell? And can the air conditioner survive August without submitting a resignation letter? Picture a Gulf Coast morning. Warm air, birds overhead, a quiet residential street, You own far more space than you could afford near Houston. Then a storm receives a name, and the entire town begins discussing drainage channels like civil engineers. Bay City can be affordable. Predictable ownership costs are another question. Number 2 sits closer to Houston's expanding western edge, and somehow the price difference becomes even harder to understand. Number 2. Wharton. In Wharton, a full 3-bedroom house can cost less than the down payment on a new home around Katy or Fulshear. You get a yard, a quieter street, and no need to spend 20 minutes circling a suburban parking lot because apparently everybody needed groceries at exactly the same time. Wharton, Texas, a county seat southwest of Houston with highway access, healthcare, a college campus, and an established downtown. This is not an isolated settlement hidden behind a dirt road and one extremely confident mailbox. On the surface, Wharton looks like the obvious next step in Houston's growth. Katy expanded, Fulshear exploded, new subdivisions spread across former farmland, schools, retail, and traffic followed. Then you continue toward Wharton, and the housing market changes. So, what stopped the boom? Nothing. It simply chose another route. Metropolitan growth does not spread outward in a perfect circle. Developers follow utilities, highways, school districts, large parcels, and other developments that have already proved buyers will come. Once one corridor starts winning, more money follows the same path. Wharton sits outside that cycle, close enough to see Houston's expansion, not close enough to receive it automatically. Then there is the Colorado River and regional flood exposure. That does not mean every Wharton home floods. It means every deeply discounted listing needs individual research. Flood zone, elevation, previous claims, insurance, drainage, and whether the low price is telling you something the interior photos are not. The house may cost $65,000. The more important number may arrive from the insurance company. Picture telling your Houston friends you bought a 3-bedroom home for less than their down payment. They congratulate you. Then open the map. Then zoom out. Then zoom out one more time. Wharton is not truly remote. It is simply beyond the point where most Houston buyers stop looking. And number 1 sits near one of Central Texas's largest new investments, after already losing the employer that once defined it. Number 1, Rockdale. In Rockdale, older houses and manufactured homes can still appear below $90,000, within reach of one of Central Texas's biggest new industrial investments. So either Rockdale is one of the last affordable opportunities near the Austin region, or every property investor in Austin has temporarily forgotten how to read a map. Rockdale, Texas. A Milam County town east of Austin with highways, industrial land, and an economic identity built around coal and aluminum. On the surface, Rockdale looks positioned for growth. Land, road access, a much lower housing base than Austin, and nearby Taylor is being transformed by major semiconductor investment. So why have Rockdale's prices not already exploded? Because the town is still carrying the loss of its previous industrial boom. Alcoa opened a large aluminum operation near Rockdale in the 1950s. It created jobs, supported families, filled stores and restaurants, and generated demand for housing across the region. At its peak, the operation employed roughly 1,500 people. Then the smelting operation was curtailed in 2008. In a large metro, the loss of one employer is absorbed among millions of workers. In a small town, the missing paychecks remain visible for years. But Rockdale is not frozen inside that story. Austin continues expanding northeast. Taylor's semiconductor development is bringing investment, construction, and new employment to the wider area. Energy and technology companies have also shown interest in Milam County. That gives Rockdale something most towns on this list do not have: a believable next chapter. And those changing towns are exactly the ones we will keep following on this channel before the rest of the housing market notices them. But proximity does not guarantee participation. A new factory does not instantly renovate every older home. It does not shorten the commute. It does not ensure workers choose Rockdale instead of a newer suburb. And it does not make a discounted property move-in ready. So the trade-off is different here. You can buy much more house and land than near Austin. You accept older housing, a longer drive, and a local economy still rebuilding its identity. But you also gain the possibility that the growth line moves closer. Picture buying here now. Your mortgage is manageable. The street is quiet. Austin prices feel like news from another planet. Then, development continues moving east. That could make you look brilliant. Or Rockdale could remain close enough to generate headlines, without changing life on your street. Rockdale may be the town the housing boom reaches next. Or it may continue watching the boom drive past. That uncertainty is why it belongs at number 1. It is not the town farthest from Texas growth. It may be standing directly in front of it. Texas is booming. But it is not booming everywhere. Growth follows jobs, highways, schools, utilities, new subdivisions, and the places where developers believe thousands of buyers will arrive next. Move one county beyond that line, and the housing market can look like it belongs to another decade. That is how $65,000 can barely cover a down payment in Austin, but still buy an entire house somewhere else in Texas. The homes are real. The prices are real. But so is the fine print: a long commute, an aging house, a limited job market, flood exposure, a major employer that disappeared, or a town close enough to see the boom, but not close enough to benefit from it. None of that automatically makes these places bad. For the right person, one of these homes could mean space, independence, and a mortgage small enough to change their life. But affordability is not only about what you save, it is about what you are willing to trade. So, which of these Texas towns would you seriously consider? And which one would you cross off immediately? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to keep finding the places where ordinary Americans can still afford a home, without ignoring the reason those homes are cheap, subscribe to Priced Out America. Because the listing shows you the house. We show you the life that comes with it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.